Tewa High School, aka my Shimo. They wanna rock this place and be the best.
You have to watch out because you're there, the standing rock.
Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Great Debaters Contest. This is our Coast edition, and we are coming to you from Mamangina Girls High School. I am Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. The motion today is legalization of drugs will make them less attractive to teenagers. A motion that's very, very emotive within the region. We have Shimo la Tewa versus Ribe girls. Mariam, do you think they have what it takes?
I only hope they'll do the motion justice. Let's have the debaters take the stage now. First proposer, you have 3 minutes.
2 minutes before I begin, I'd rather be whipped than start. But 2 minutes before I end, I'd rather be shot than stop. You ask me why? Legalization of drugs will make drug use less attractive to teens is my portion, ladies and gentlemen. Legalization means making something allowed by the law. And a drug is any substance that when taken alters the normal functioning of the body. A teen is any person who is at the note of translation from childhood to adulthood. For instance, in what was seen as an important milestone for stagnation of drug abuse in Colombia in 1999, Paul Amantano, the deputy director for the National Organization of Drug Abuse, gave out a strong speech, and if I can quote some of his words, he said that, "Today, I stand to accept that legalization in Colombia has reduced the number of teens in drug use. And today, ladies and gentlemen, as Jeremiah Mudui of Shimo la Tewa School, you can quote me for the future generation that if we can take the same note as Colombia, then I think Kenya is going to take a milestone in the problem that is facing the youths and especially the teens in Kenya." Ladies and gentlemen, it is all known to us that prohibition is the mother that most of our teens rush to. You find that most of the teens, when they are told that don't do this, they do that. This happened in the Garden of Eden when Adam and Eve was told, do not eat the fruit from the tree of the center. They went for the fruit. And that is what happens to our teens. And if I think today we can legalize the drugs in Kenya, then I think it will be a hindrance for our teens to go for the drugs. Ladies and gentlemen, from where I come from, most of the teens, you'll find that they are attracted to drugs because of peer pressure. Most of the teens are attracted to drugs because they want to go against the law. Most of the teens are attracted to drugs mainly because they want to go against what the government has set. According to what happened in Emerald in Northern California, we found that it was a region where the plantation of cocaine, heroin, and mandrax was a major tourist attraction center. And this, ladies and gentlemen, when there was legalization in Northern California, I remember there was that the farmer said that legalization has affected our teens, and therefore the number of teens taking drugs has gone down. Before I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I remember the words of Jesus Christ of Nazareth who said, "Render unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and unto God what belongs to God." Legalization is my portion. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
15 years from now, I'll be a judge. And it's now up to you that you make sure that yourself and your children are not brought to the court with the case of abusing drugs. This is Jemima James from Ribe Girls. Legalization means allowing something and having no penalty for doing it. And drugs are things or something that is taken and it alters the functioning of the body. To begin with, legalization of drugs will increase the crime rate in our country. We see the way people react when they do take these drugs. And you see, they do react as if they're not normal and their functioning compared to the normal human being, it is a little bit different. Now, some people do take these drugs in high amount, and this leads them to committing drugs, like some of them become thugs, and some even, they become gangsters. So you see, legalization of these drugs will make our country have a high increase in crime rates, and also suffering from disease caused by intaking of drugs. If we take these drugs, we are likely to suffer from diseases like the brain damage, the lung cancer, and also hallucination. Now, to prevent this, we have to make sure that these drugs are not legalized in our country. And lastly, losing our future leaders due to the intake of drugs. We are depending on the youths and the teenagers to be the future leaders, the leaders of tomorrow. And if we allow them to take the drugs, then their brains are going to be damaged. They'll suffer from these diseases caused by taking drugs. And we need them so that they can be the future leaders of tomorrow, lead our country, because no one will be there to stand for our country. The others who are there are growing old. Now we need them so that they can protect the parts of the ones who are growing old to lead our country into safety. If they take drugs, their brains will be damaged. There is no way they can stand in front of people, or a person whose brain is damaged can stand in front of people to guide the others. I'm here, and it is my hope that you're going to agree with me that legalization of drugs in our country will not make them less attractive to teens. In fact, it is going to destroy them, causing a lot of damages in our country.
We'll hear rebuttals now. Proposers, you have 3 minutes.
Well, I see myself as a hero because my mom is my heroine. I see myself leading a nation where drug is legalized. Ladies and gentlemen, I personally know that getting illegal drugs is difficult than obtaining legal drugs. For example, getting narcotic drugs like bang, cocaine, and heroin is very easy because we have suppliers, we have the black markets. Our worthy opponents have said that when we legalize drugs, that the uses of drugs will go high. But I concur with them. Why? When we legalize drugs, as a research was carried out in Holland, it shows that when drugs were legalized in that country, that the crime rates reduced, the cases of HIV and other infection reduced. Why? Because of legalization. There goes the notation that drug legalization will make drug use less attractive to the youth. The notation is a skewed one, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take an example of Holland, where a research was carried out of the legalized opium. Research was carried out, and it was found before legalization of opium that the drug was mostly being abused. But after the legalization of the drug, the number decreased. Why? Legalization of drugs will make drug use less attractive to the youth. You know, as teens, we like doing things that are unique to others. If you ask me, the last party I attended, many of the teens were abusing shisha, as they call it. They were abusing bang, simply because they wanted to be seen as cool kids. Ladies and gentlemen, it's high time that we legalize drugs so that it can be common among the youth. And when it's common, who will want to be seen as a cool kid? No, ladies and gentlemen. Another point is that we know, as a research was carried out, shows that the 8% of the world economy is controlled by drugs, the criminals. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you see when these markets are taken by governments? See the huge profits. With the huge profits, creation of job employments. With creation of job employments, we're getting high tax, ladies and gentlemen. This is a given advantage to our economy. Who does want to see the economy of the nation going up? Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, some of the drugs which are legalized in our country, Kenya, like cigarette, is one of the products that earns our government high revenue. It's high time that we legalize drugs such as marijuana in our nation, such as bang in our nation, such as cocaine, ladies and gentlemen. Before I conclude, because concluding I must, ladies and gentlemen, it's high time that we accept it and we focus on the things that will make youth abuse drugs, not banning drug abuse. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
Well, having a retentive mind, you can declare me a genius. I remember back in school, there's this wise man who said, spare the rod and spoil the child. Legalize drugs, and then you spoil the youth. Okay, I am Baston Samo from Ribe Girls, opposing the motion. Legalization of drugs will make it less attractive to the youth. Okay, my friend here came, he said that when government involves itself in the drugs business, as we now declare it illegal, and when it's declared legal, the government will be there, taking the companies, taking themselves, getting high taxes, creating economy, giving Kenyan a backbone. But then, those people taking the drugs, I think that when you say that you're just concerned about money, not the health of fellow Kenyans, we have to make the Kenyan live long and make Kenya aspire to 2030. Not because of money, rushing for money, we're killing the youth. No way. We have to retain the youth for the future generation. And also, cigarette. They gave example of cigarette, saying that cigarette is legal now in Kenya, and they're saying that legalization of cigarette, it has improved in Kenya. I'm wrong. I think that's wrong. I'm quite genuine and also being realistic, saying that everyone now, even some of us in this hall, take cigarettes. Cigarette, even that little kid in KG3 can take a cigarette because it costs only 3 shillings. But what if cigarette could be illegal and it costs a lot of money? Who will be taking it? How many people could be dying of lung cancer? Less, of course, less. And also, the issue of tourist attraction. I think I should pose a question to the proposers. Drugs, how can drugs attract tourists to Kenya? Are we mining here drugs? Are drugs mined? Huh? Do we bang mine? Can somebody come from Europe just to check that bang plant there? We are being realistic and we are being genuine, fellow opposers. And also, it is going to be less attractive. Here in Mombasa, we know that drugs is taking all over Kenya. We know of Mombasa. It was just the other day, it was all over the news that Akasha dynasty and all that about drugs. What are we doing as Kenyans? Drug is there. It is illegal. That's why when it is illegalized, the business becomes so expensive that it becomes so risky that a youth cannot involve himself into that. Because there is penalty for you. For you, it is illegal, there is penalty for you. You'll rot in jail while doing it. What if we're going to make it legal? Everybody will be there. When drug could be legal, everybody could be smoking inside here. Everybody could be having a bang. Everybody could be having mandrax. Everybody could be having everything. Anyway, I guess my time is over. And thank you.
The proposers have been asked, even as they champion the legalization of drugs, are they taking into account the health effects that these drugs have on people? And the opposition have been asked, in lieu of legalizing drugs, what should we do then to combat the drug problem we have? We'll have them respond to those questions. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Everything that is done in this world has some considerations. Us advocating for the legalization of drugs, we've made our considerations also. And the considerations are, once the drugs are made legal, the government and all the other governments are going to set up restrictions, just like for alcohol and tobacco. And in this case, the drugs won't be abused, but they're going to be used. Each and every time anything is made legal in this world, quotas are set for each and every commodity. The government of Kenya and all the other governments have quotas for each and every commodity which comes in their country and which is produced in their country. Therefore, once legalization is made, each and every single commodity is going to have its quotas. And since the supply of the commodities will be limited, the drug abuse will decline. The legalization of these drugs in our country will make the drug abuse less attractive among the teenagers, simply because each and everything a teen does, he does it so that the teen can look cool among the other friends. The abusing of drugs among the teenagers gives them a thrill, so that each and every teenager who abuses drugs wants to look cool among the friends. And once the drugs are legalized, there won't be any effect of looking cool, simply because everyone around is using drugs. And before I conclude, let me say, the legalization of drugs in our country will actually make drug abuse less attractive to the teenagers, simply because something that is legal in our country isn't cool. I rest my case.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
I'm very saddened that such a topic can be brought to the table. We are teens and we understand the effects of these drugs. We know what these drugs can do to our bodies. We know what these drugs can lead to in the future. There's one man once said, there are so many paths in life, but there's one that leads to the top of the mountain. Do you think that when we legalize these drugs, we are going to reach to where Kenya wants to reach in Vision 2030? I hope you're going to answer that question. It's a very tricky question and it needs a lot of focus for you to answer that question. And to your question, what should we do to combat the drug problem? It is very evident. I won't use any other country. I will use this jurisdiction. We are in Mombasa. We know the problem that is in Mombasa. We've heard of an inspector, Inspector Marwa. He's always there to see that the kids that think that they are cool in the society are being brought down. They're being settled down to read and focus, to be very important members of the society. Rehabilitation has been brought to the table. Kids are being taken there. Kids are being rehabilitated so that they can go back and focus in their studies. Civic education is being brought to the native people, to the illiterate people, so that they cannot do what? They cannot abuse these drugs. Why should we legalize drugs? Why should we legalize drugs? I think the main point here is to understand the effects of drugs. Do you know that drugs can lead to death? And if we die, are we going to rule our country? No one is going to rule our country. No one is going to stand by us in the next vision, in Vision 2030. No one is going to be there. We are talking about brain damage here. Are you going to rule a person with brain damage? Are you going... First of all, let's look at ourselves. Look at our parents. Will your parents, put yourself in your parents' shoes. Will your parents allow you to abuse drugs in the name of legalization? Will your parents allow that? I suppose no. So please, we have a free boat that is sailing to success with free seats. Can you please board that boat so that we can all reach to success? We cannot legalize drugs. I'm against it and I'll always be against it. When we employ these kids, when we employ these youths, will they even think about drugs? Will they even have time to sit in groups and abuse drugs? They will never do that because they have a meaning and a purpose in life. If you have a purpose in life, my friend, you're going to do everything so that you can reach to success. And my time is over, but I want to tell you this. We have to reason and be people of substance, not just people who are moving with the wind. We are moving with a purpose. Thank you.
We'll hear final statements now. Proposition, you have a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, when my fellow opposers have been defeated to convince you, they have decided to confuse you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. What is the difference between legalization and abusing drugs? Do they have the same meaning? Legalization does not mean abusing drugs. There is something that was said by the prophets that people will have eyes, but they'll not be able to see. They will have ears, but they won't be able to hear. When people are talking about a vision, a millennium vision, others are talking about a vision 2030. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to legalize drugs, not to increase its use in teen, but to legalize drug in order to alleviate the status of our young generation. We need people. Thank you.
Opposition, you have a minute for your final statement.
We are not here to confuse anyone. We are here to put sense in the minds of many. Let us not hide ourselves in the courts of the prophets, in the wide sayings that were said before. As you can see, those prophets in the past, I've never even had one from the Bible. I'm a Christian. I've never even had one who is abusing drugs or who fought for the legalization of drugs late in the days. Who are we? Who are we to legalize those drugs? Who are we to legalize those drugs? If we are going to use the example that they did, we should use it to the latter, not to come and use their words to mishandle or to mislead others. So if you think you're going to legalize these drugs, I guess you're not patriots of Kenya. Thank you.
Beginning with Jeremiah, you had a very good introduction, good mastery of the topic. You sounded convincing. You are very confident. You're a very good debater. I liked how you used your verbal and nonverbal cues. You're good. Kelvin Anungo, nice introduction, good mastery of the topic. But then you did not rebuttal the first speaker's point. On the other side, there is Jemima James. You did not rebuttal, and that worked against you in a way. So the roles of the various speakers have to be well known so that at the end of the day, you have a well-structured argument. Stephen, you were asked a question from the audience about have you considered the effects of drugs? But in responding, you did not respond to that question. So that also worked against you. But next time, I believe you'll be in a position to follow these things.
Jemima, you started off very well, but you took the motion off tangent. Why? Because you started addressing the effects of drug abuse. Remember, the motion is about what? Legalizing drugs, making them less attractive or more attractive. And I think for you, I think this was for Shimo la Tewa. It's about familiarity that will breed what? Contempt, is it? Let them be there. People will just, I think the word cool was being used there, and I think that was okay. But now for you, Ribe girls, I mean, you shouldn't have focused towards the direction of drug abuse so that at least you focus on the effects. And there were so many examples, for example, in the Latino countries who have tried to legalize this and they're still fighting this. A lot of money is being used on that. So I think you should have really looked into that angle in a nice way, but I think you did your best. So all the best to the two teams.
The scores were close, 67 and 69. Ribe girls, the judges awarded you 67. Please give them a round of applause. And Shimo la Tewa, you are our winners for today with 69.
A job well done to the ladies of Ribe. And of course, congratulations to our winners of the day, Shimo la Tewa High School. We'd like to thank you for watching and staying with us. And of course, our in-studio audience for being so participative. Follow us on Twitter at Great Debaters EA and give us your feedback. I have been your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyumbok. Catch you next time.
Just left the stage, we have Ribe girls and Shimo la Tewa. Quite a debate it was. Let's hear what they have to say about the debate. Ribe girls.
The debate was quite tough.
The debate was quite challenging, but as for us, the sky wasn't the limit. We aimed high.